2018's Tomb Raider, starring Alicia Vikander, I have to admit was a big surprise to me. I had originally, of course, I've seen the original two Tomb Raider films with Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft, and I never played the video game Tomb Raider, but I was always aware of the original depiction of Lara Croft as kind of a well endowed, she had a certain look, right? And I wasn't aware that the video game character had actually undergone her own evolution. And I guess, so I was a little surprised that the more sort of shorter, like, let's face it, tinier version of with Alicia Vikander, I was a little surprised that she was playing Lara Croft, and I wasn't sure how I felt about that. I wasn't real familiar with Vikander except for her role in the Jason Bourne movie, which was a bit of a disappointment. And frankly, I thought she was miscast in that role, but I absolutely love her in this film. She really brings a humanity to the role. Her English accent, I mean, I'm not English, but it sounded perfect to me, as opposed to her American accent in the Jason Bourne movie, which kind of bothered me a little bit. But it's not just the accent, but she brings both a toughness and a vulnerability to the role. And she's clearly in great shape. She might be tiny, but she's got some muscle mass right here too. I mean, she's really sort of cut. Early in the movie, you see her in a little boxing match, and you see the abs and you see the body, the muscle tone, and yeah, she looks like she could go through it, and she does go through it in this film. Obviously, Lara Croft is kind of a female Indiana Jones, if you will, an adventurer, typically known for trying to find sort of treasures or what have you. Again, I've never played the video game, but it's called Tomb Raider, so. And I would assume whoever made the video game was inspired, obviously, a lot by the Indiana Jones, films. But she's great. She's I know in the original, in the video game and in the movies, she's known for her two pistols. Well, in this, she doesn't use a lot of weaponry. For the most part, just a bow and arrow. And she looks great. Overall in this film, she looks skillful. But when I say she brings a vulnerability to the role, she's got this great face. Not just a good-looking face, which is true, but she's got an open face. Like, she's very you can tell her emotions by just the look in her eye. And there are moments where the director, and I want to get this right, I think he's Norwegian. It's let's see, his name is Roar Uthaug, Norwegian film director. He's not afraid to really linger on her face or even cut to her face to see these little almost micro reactions that she gives. It's a real interesting collaboration between the director and, of course, cinematographer and the editors, as well as Vikander's performance. And I got to tell you, I really enjoy her as Lara Croft. And if I remember correctly, Angelina Jolie was like always cool throughout her two films, cool and calculated, and that's nice too. But I like any character, male or female, that you root for who actually seems vulnerable, but can overcome those vulnerabilities. And that's what her Lara Croft does in this film. Her father is played by Dominic West. Excellent character actor. You've probably seen him in The Wire, or he was terrific as Jean Valjean in a recent miniseries adaptation of Les Miserables, and many other things. I heard he was an excellent Iago on stage, which certainly makes sense to me. But he's terrific in this. He and Alicia Vikander look like they could be father and daughter. They have like the same eyes and nose, essentially. I mean, dark brown eyes. And it's great casting for both characters. Walton Goggins, right there. Always an excellent actor, and he he's excellent in this. Again, a villain who is not as cartoonish as you might think. And and then there's also Daniel Wu, who's fantastic. I mean, I guess he's known. He's done a lot of like kung fu stuff in his native country, but he was happy to do apparently a film where he didn't have to do any kung fu. And in this film, he just plays a ship pilot, and he's very charismatic. He's very charming, and if they had ever made a sequel to this film, I really, really would have wanted him to be a part of it. Maybe even something romantic between he and her. They have really great chemistry. There he is, right there, and of course, there's her dad. So the overall cast is fantastic. It's the story is what you would expect. Well, a little different. She's not just looking for treasure or anything like that. She's actually looking for her father, who is missing and believed to be dead. And in order to find answers, she goes on the same mission that he had originally gone on, which sounds very much like, when you think about it, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And it's kind of like that. Honestly, I enjoy this one even more than that film, if you can believe it. And that film was wonderful. But same dynamic here. And the action scenes are very well done. In an era where there's lots of choppy action scenes, lots of overly edited scenes. Shootouts or cameras just going all over the place. This is straight up action. You're not going to be confused about anything you're watching. Really well orchestrated, very well edited. The cinematography is excellent. The music is excellent. And I must tell you, as someone who is not a fan of CGI, I like it when it's subtle. I like it when it's used for to do things like erasing cable and wires, and maybe putting in a little bit of extra things here and there. But I like it when CGI is used to maybe dress up a scene a little bit. I don't like it when it's used as like a primary tool for scenes, because they typically are noticeably not real. Even though I think as audiences we've kind of convinced ourselves to believe these things are real when they're not, or suspend our disbelief. But it usually takes me right out. But I have to tell you, I'm very impressed with the digital effects of this film. Now, I can't tell you who the digital, effects people were, or the studio they used, or what have you. I don't. It wasn't a main one like Weta or what Lucas uses, Industrial Light and Magic, or anything like that. I think it's a smaller one, maybe, or a lesser known, but they are great. There is a scene that I didn't even realize had a lot of green screen in it, and it's a scene fairly early in the movie when she's allegedly in Hong Kong, in this sort of ship dock. There's lots of piers, and she's running around. She's being chased by some thieves, and she's jumping from boat to boat. And everything looks real. The water looks real. The piers look real. The boats around the piers look real. The cityscape in the background look real. Apparently, a lot of that is CGI, and I was dumbfounded to find that out. And then other scenes that are going to have to be digital, like when she's falling into this wild river, and she hangs on to this old World War II plane, this rusty plane's wing, and she has to jump from that wing that's about to break into the plane. you know, a lot of that is CGI, and I'm not even saying it's like 100% convincing, but at least, and here's that moment right there, you at least look at it and go, how did they do that? Like, that looks really good. And it really is to the point where you believe it enough. And even I can't believe I'm saying that. So, probably the underrated thing about this film is how good the effects are. And yeah, I can't say enough about that. So, it's right at 2 hours long. I think it's like an hour and 58 minutes or something like that. It is a fun time. I showed this movie to my dad. He had a great time. It's, you know, from start to finish, you like her, you're rooting for her, you're rooting for her, you know, the ship pilot guy. You sufficiently dislike Walton Goggins there. You want her to find her dad, and you want them to figure out if this Japanese treasure, this Japanese tomb, what exactly is it? Is it really supernatural? It's a fun time, and I highly recommend it. I think it did okay at the box office. I think from what I understand, they did want to make a sequel, but then COVID happened, and too much time passed, and I think they lost the rights to even make a sequel, which is too bad. But I'm telling you, this is a highly underrated action-adventure thriller, and you could do a lot worse than to watch this, if you ever have a chance to stream it.